I'm Hannah Sloan, and I'm here today to talk about creative writing. Why bother? Why does this all matter, you may ask? Well, it matters because slowly we are destroying the creative minds of our youth and disabling the future of countless writers and authors who would otherwise go on to write stories and poems that ignite a sense of imagination and creativity that we, on the other hand, are destroying. In recent studies, 85% of kindergartners rank high in creativity, but just 2 short years later, that number dramatically drops to a meager 10%. The simple question is, why? To understand, let's flash back 10 years ago to Hannah in the 3rd grade. We can jump into their imagination and fully understand where these kids' creative minds go. A buck-toothed Hannah chasing kids on the playground and barking at my peers, that is if I was a dog that day instead of a horse, and believing that these fairies lived and flew around my house, and refusing to drink anything and everything but cranberry juice for one and one reason only. I thought I was a vampire. Spoiler alert, I was not. Just a crazy 8-year-old with a wild imagination suppressing a frown at the bitter taste of the blood that I was drinking. The Hannah that spent hours making potions from my magical herb book and writing down stories of my numerous fantasy worlds that I thought I lived in, and the memories of the people that I became. I could be anything that I wanted to be. A mermaid, a fairy, a vampire, a witch, even the President of the United States. Where did my imagination go? Well, it kind of went down the drain when my peers called me weird, which is totally understandable, and my teachers told me writing about fairies and vampires was stupid because they weren't real. So I put it all aside, and I let my journal collect dust, trading it instead for 5-paragraph essays and research papers, boring if you ask me, and writing only about real things, because why write about something fake, right? Well, who said we couldn't write about fake things? Well, no one really did, but our teachers did, and our parents did, and now we're scared. We're scared of failing. We stopped writing childish things that make us question our sanity, and instead we trade them for slick professional words that sound like textbook essays and make us bite off all our nails until we receive an okay B in the grade book, anything lower leading us to believe we won't attend college. Totally dramatic. But the real question is, when does this all happen? When do we realize that we've lost our creativity? Well, the first time it really hit home for me was about a year ago on a cold Saturday night in January. I was just minutes away from completing 200 hours of certification to become a yoga instructor. And my boss looked at me and she asked me to create a meditation to take my fellow students to another world of tranquility and calmness. But I didn't know what to do. I was in shock. Despite everything I had learned through my months of training, I had no idea how to create something new. So she looked at me and she said, "Do it or you just won't graduate." So I raked my mind for a formula, an outline, an MLA format to follow, but there was nothing. So most people would just shut down, but through my short 17 years of living, there was still a little bit of buzzing light inside me with wonder and curiosity. What was I capable of, my mind asked. So with a little bit of self-confidence, encouragement, and a head nod from my peers, I did it. I finished and I became a yoga instructor. But what happens to those so discouraged they can't move on, the ones that give up? And so it leads us back to that one question: why? Why does all of this matter? How will we know how to create? How will we become innovators and entrepreneurs? Where will our imaginations go? Do we throw them away like our journals? Or do we suppress them so much that we become boring and robotic, incapable of dreaming? Where do we learn to create? Where do the smells we remember go and the sounds that ring in our ears stay? Where do the people that we notice and meet hide? And what happens to their stories we create in our heads while people watch in the busy streets of our everyday lives? Well, they go nowhere because we're just too afraid to try. So slowly, countless stories won't be heard, and an amazing branch of literature will just dwindle into silence. But what can we do? We can't force anyone to write creatively. We can't unscare them and tell them grades don't matter, because the hard truth is that grades do matter. But what we can do is we can encourage them and we can weave them back into their creative process, helping them to feel okay and safe again. I say we encourage our students, our friends, and our colleagues. Tell them to go write about their fat boss, about the monsters under their beds, and the lady that was crying on the bus. Tell them to copy down their dreams and the smells that they welcomed and dismissed throughout their days. Write about their hopes and their wishes and anything and everything that sparks a light inside them. Every character, every plot, every scene living inside us is dying to be heard. Once we delve into the right side of our brains and revive the lives of our barely there imaginations, we can do the unthinkable and complete the impossible. With a little bit of encouragement and faith, the only one thing left to do is put pen to paper and our imaginations will come alive. Just like famous writers before us, creative writing can help us escape reality and in best cases move us from the lowest parts of our lives to new paths before us. J.K. Rowling wrote the first book of the amazing Harry Potter series when she was homeless and living out of her car with her children. But she took one amazing thing and now she makes millions of dollars from turning it into a sensation. Write creatively and open up a whole new world of possibilities. It's as simple as that. Thank you.